My name is William Lambert. I serve as State Representative for a portion of Sumner County, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Portland, and Westmoreland. That's the 44th House District. So we all know that there are three branches of government: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. And in Tennessee, the State House of Representatives forms one half of the legislative branch. We have a bicameral legislature, which means the House is one half of the legislature and the Senate is the other half. The House has 99 members, and I'm honored to serve as one of those members, and the Senate has 33 members. So everybody in the General Assembly has a job outside of serving in the legislature. Some are retired and have had long careers, but many of us actually do something else for a living. For instance, I'm an attorney. That's what I do for a living. That's my actual profession. So in the legislature, we serve the state of Tennessee in order to be able to serve our constituents, serve the community, and do whatever it is that we are needed by our constituents. We also form the laws of the great state of Tennessee that are contained within the Tennessee Code annotated. So each year we meet to determine what laws should be added to the books or taken away. And that's a great question. So most folks think that everybody in the General Assembly is a lawyer. I am an attorney. That is what I do for a living, but there are very few lawyers actually serving in the General Assembly right now. There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are plumbers, there are welders, there are teachers. There are folks from all walks of life. There are folks that have served in the military, that have served our country well to ensure that we have freedoms that we exercise here in Tennessee and in the legislature. And there are folks from really all walks of life that serve in the General Assembly. In fact, to be a state representative, you have to be at least 21 years of age and have lived in your district for 3 years previous to the time that you've run. And I believe the age for a senator is required that you be at least 30 years of age. State representatives serve for 2-year terms, and state senators serve for 4-year terms. So every 2 years, every single member of the State House of Representatives is up for re-election, and every 4 years, the senators are up for re-election. An election is not a popularity contest. It is not someone who is just the smartest or the best looking or the richest person in every community. It is the person that gains the most votes. And so an election is kind of a miraculous thing because anybody can run. As long as you hit those age requirements, as long as you live within that district, anyone can run for state representative or senator or even president of the United States. And so I've always thought that is one of the best things about our form of government is it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is or what you know or don't know. It matters whether or not that you can get out there and earn the trust of the people in your community for them to elect you to be a state representative or a senator. And in our form of government, a republic, that means that our votes are really the reflection of the will of the people that have asked us to serve them. So again, the founders of our country set up our form of government in a way that real people, folks that have real jobs and families and responsibilities outside of government, serve us. And that is something we see every day here in Nashville. And it is definitely a difficult thing to balance family responsibilities and job responsibilities and our public responsibilities as being elected officials. But it's something that is worth doing. It is something that is an amazing feat when you pull it off well. And it is constantly difficult to be able to decide, well, how can you be in two places at once? And you can't. You have to make tough decisions, and there's things that I miss that are family responsibilities or job responsibilities in order to be able to serve. But again, it's worth it. It's worth it to hopefully be able to make a difference so that Tennessee's best days are still ahead of us. So the General Assembly, again, the State House and the State Senate serving in a really unified fashion in a team-oriented environment like that in a bicameral legislature. We meet for 2-year terms. 2 years are as part of one session. And so we just finished the 110th General Assembly, which means when we start in January of each year, we will meet for several months, usually up until sometime in April or May, but the legislature has met until all the way up until July. I believe July 4th several years ago they were still meeting. Luckily we don't do that anymore, but then the first year of the legislative session will end, and we will go into a recess and then come back the next January, meet for a few more months, and that will make one legislative session. So each legislative session is 2 years long. Either the governor can call a special session, or the legislature itself, with I believe it's 2/3 majority of the members, can call a special session. And so those can happen for a variety of different reasons. It has happened in the state of Tennessee several different times over the last few years, even twice in the last couple of years. Sometimes it can be because of a specific issue that needs to be addressed in a timely fashion, or it can be because of a specific issue that deals with a large amount of funding, like TennCare expansion or education issues or something else, where you need everyone focused on just one issue instead of the variety of issues that we would focus during the regular session. So every year in Tennessee, unlike in the federal government or in other states, we actually balance our budget, and we balance it down to the penny, because as students, you buy things at the store, you spend money that actually goes into sales tax, which comes to the state of Tennessee. And so the money we're spending is your money. It belongs to you, it belongs to your parents, it belongs to the other members of our community, and we take that very seriously here. So when we balance that budget, that means every single idea that anyone has that costs any public funds whatsoever, that amount of money has to be budgeted for. It has to be placed in the budget and earmarked specifically for that idea. So in Tennessee, the budget is about $37.5 billion. Now that seems like a lot of money, but about $13 billion of that is specifically just for TennCare. About $11 billion of it goes towards your education, K through 12 and higher education. We spend about $5 billion on social programs of a variety of different type, and then we spend about $2 billion on roads and about $1 billion on prison and probation services. That is basically the Tennessee budget, and then everything else falls kind of within that. So anytime anybody has an idea in Tennessee, it has to be funded. And I'm proud to say that since we balance our budget every single year, you as students have the least amount of debt as any other students anywhere in the entire nation, because Tennessee is a low debt, low tax state. And that is something that will benefit you really for the rest of your lives. It's something that we all hope other states will emulate, and certainly that the federal government would. Because if you don't live within a budget, if you don't spend just the money that you have, then you go into debt, and down the road, it always comes back to haunt you. And so here in Tennessee, again, we're very proud of the fact that we balance our budget every year, and we're very, very careful about the way we spend your money. So in the House, we actually limit ourselves to 15 bills per year. Now that's by rule. We vote on that ourselves. The good Lord got it done with 10 commandments. We figure we can get it done with 15 bills per year. And so what that is you may be taking a law off the books, you may be adding a law to the books, and for a bill to actually become law, it has to be sponsored in the House. So each House member would have 15 bills, and as I said earlier, there's 99 House members and 33 senators. So if you're going to file a bill in the House, in order for it to be successful, it has to be filed in the Senate. And so you have to find a senator that will actually sponsor that piece of legislation as well. So each year there are approximately 1,500 to 1,600 bills filed. That's in the first year of the legislative session. And we will work on those bills sometimes for just that 1 year if they are able to pass, or they can continue on into the second year of the legislative session. And so each year we will deal with, or each session I should say, we will deal with somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 bills. So there used to be an old Schoolhouse Rock video about how a bill becomes a law, and it's remarkably accurate. Most of the bills that I carry come from someone bringing me a specific issue. I was on the telephone with a young lady while I was driving in today, and she had an issue where state government simply wasn't working very well. And she brought that issue to my attention. It's something we may be able to address next year. So it all starts out with an idea. It starts out where someone calls their state representative or their senator or calls the governor's office and says this is something that they have noticed out there in Tennessee somewhere, that there's an issue where something's not working well. And then that idea has to be put down on paper. And that's really what a bill is. It's an idea that a legislator has gotten from someone else, or that they've experienced themselves or identified themselves, where there's an issue that needs to be addressed. And when that idea is written down, then that becomes a bill. That bill has to be filed with the clerk's office in both chambers. It has to be debated. It has to go through the committee process. And then at the end, it has to be voted on the House and Senate floor. And then both those bills have to match. So both the House and Senate version actually have to match with each other exactly and perfectly and have passed both chambers. And then it goes to the governor's office, and the governor has an option to either sign that bill into law, or veto that bill, or just let it become law without his signature. And then finally, after all of that process, a bill would become law. Again, every single year we deal with about 1,500 bills, and there are several of those that are extraordinarily important that never make the papers. One of which that I'm sure you will be very interested in as young people in our community is that I carried a bill that would expand the opportunities for 5G cell phone coverage in Tennessee. And that's something that we all are very interested in because, you know, these little devices that we carry in our pockets really almost rule our lives these days. And so 4G technology is very rapidly becoming the technology of the past. And so 5G is what the future really looks like. And that way your phone will work better, you have better reception, you have better data, you'll have better opportunity to upload videos or go online and really do everything that cell phones do these days. And that was very hotly debated because of the fact that there is, we are very reluctant at the state level to get involved in local issues. And so when you talk about 5G coverage, you talk about where towers would be placed, where smaller devices would be placed to be able to enable 5G coverage to cover really as much of Tennessee as possible. And so you have state and local issues that are being meshed together. And so you have a lot of local officials that are involved in that, a lot of companies, a lot of individuals that are involved. That was a very hotly debated issue that really didn't make a lot of press this year, but it will affect our daily lives. And that bill became law and hopefully, again, will help all of us have a little better cell phone coverage and even maybe a lot better cell phone coverage. And it could change things pretty drastically down the road on how we do business and even how potentially autonomous cars or something else come to Tennessee, which was another bill I carried a couple of years ago to be able to clear the way in Tennessee for our autonomous vehicles. And that technology is not that far away. So that's just one example of a bill that had a number of different people involved. We also had a piece of legislation that the governor's office championed to try to combat the opioid epidemic that we are experiencing in Tennessee. We have a lot of folks that are misusing or abusing prescription medication, and there's really fault to be laid at the feet of a lot of different folks within the medical community and within the manufacturers of these medications, but also at the feet of just ourselves, all of us that utilize medication in any way. We all have to be more responsible as a system on how we use something that has become just very dangerous as a drug. And so we had some good legislation this year to try to put some very good guardrails really on that system of how that medication is delivered to people that really need it here in Tennessee and make sure that it is not abused. Absolutely. Well, students are just as important as everyone else. Whether you're old enough to vote or not, you are a constituent of your representative and senator. So students can make a difference by emailing your representative, reaching out, calling, seeing that person at church or the grocery store, out at the ball field, and just asking them questions, getting involved, letting your representative or senator know what's important to you. You know, our students are literally the future leaders of our state, and potentially future representatives and senators and business owners and good employees and fathers and mothers and everything else. And so your opinions are just as important as those that are older than you. One of the best ways to monitor that is either on social media. Most representatives and senators will have social media accounts where they push information out there, and we try to do that on a regular basis. And then the website, www.capitol.tn.gov, is a great website to go on and watch video of committee meetings. Everything is done in a very transparent and open fashion. Here at the legislature, every single bill that is filed is online. Every single video of every single debate is online, be that in a committee or on the House floor. It is an open process because this house is your house. It belongs to the people of Tennessee, and so we make sure that regardless of where you live, from Mountain City to Memphis, you're able to use the internet to really look at the inner workings of everything that we do here to ensure that government is serving you well.